Welcome back to part number 3 of building the ultimate garage, and based off what you see behind me, we finally have some good news. If you haven't seen part 1 or part number 2, I highly suggest you check out those parts before you watch this one so you kind of understand what's going on with the whole garage and all of my plans, how this is going to be a future live stream place where we're going to stream on Twitch, which is going to be super cool. I spoke about that in episode 2. Speaking of part number 2 though, you might remember we wrapped up part number 2 with these walls being completely empty. There was no insulation in them because the company that I arranged to come in and do all of the insulation, I paid them and then they stole my money and never showed up. Long story short, they eventually paid me my money back after I yelled at them on the phone for a really long time, and we found another company to do all of the insulation in the walls and the ceiling. I also wanted to address some of the comments that I got in the last episode. A lot of you guys were like, why don't you just do the insulation by yourself? One, I don't really have enough time for that, but 2, this is actually spray foam insulation. This isn't something you can just do yourself. If you've never actually seen spray foam insulation before, it's actually really cool. It gets shot out of a gun and it's like liquid, and then it expands and turns into this, and it's rock hard, which is pretty cool. So this is one of our electrical outlets. This is the electric car charger. Even all the way up here with the heater and down here with the switches, all of it has been spray foamed up, so you can actually see the wires running through. That's the spray foam. It literally just gets sprayed on top of all the wires. It's really cool and super standard here in Canada. Anyways, we've also got this yellow, that's sort of regular insulation that you find in most places. And then up in the ceiling, that's where some really cool stuff happens. We've first got all of the green spray foam along the entire ceiling, and then on top of that, we've got this blow-in insulation. That's kind of all that stuff that you can see. Since heat rises, you end up losing a lot of your heat and a lot of your temperature straight through the roof. That's why we've got 2 types of insulation up there, and eventually when we get our heater in here, it's gonna be so much warmer because of that. However, that's not all we've been doing. Take a look at this. If we open up this door, you might be able to see what's out there. I don't know if I've ever showed you out here, but we finally got our shed. Let's go. This shed's actually pretty cool. This past weekend, my dad and my brother actually came over, and we spent the weekend building this shed and kind of making this whole area a little bit nicer. There's never going to be anything that crazy in this shed though. It's just going to be sort of used for all the gardening stuff like the lawnmower, maybe a couple brooms, shovels, and things like that, just so it's not taking up room in the garage, so the garage can be fully focused on cars. The main focus of part number 3 is actually rebuilding the garage. In episode 2 and 1, we kind of cleared this out and took everything out, but in episode 3, we're rebuilding. So the insulation is already in. That means we can put the walls up, and tomorrow, we're getting a massive delivery of drywall. Once that's done, we can paint the walls and get all of our lighting up. That's why it's a bit dark in here right now, sorry. After that, the drywall man arrived with all of the drywall and other things to fix up the garage and make it look perfect. So we're gonna jump from day to day and see his progress every day. So he spent some super long hours putting up all of these walls, plastering them, and doing all of that. It wasn't exactly picture perfect though, so my dad and I actually spent a bunch of time plastering all the walls again and then sanding them down ourselves so they were perfect, ready for us to get painting on. And a couple of days later, this was the result, which looks pretty good actually. So you join me about a month later when we finally have all of the walls up, and as you can tell, it is time to start painting. So over here, we've actually got both our paint and our primer. Because it's brand new drywall that's gonna be going on, we're gonna need a bunch of paint to make these walls look super good. My main focus right now is to get the ceiling completely finished up, because later this week, we have the electricians coming back to install our brand new lights, which should be super cool. Before that though, let's go back in time a little bit and I can show you some ASMR of us painting all of the walls and all of the ceiling. I don't know why, but I find this so unbelievably satisfying. Also, I'm probably not doing this correctly because I was in a mad panic to paint the walls and the ceiling as quickly as possible because I knew that the very next day the electricians were coming to install the lights on the ceiling and I didn't want to hold them up. So I was going as quickly as I could. Meanwhile, my dad was doing his best impression of Bob Ross, so I was still going mad rush, paint, prime. Not in that order, but it's so satisfying to actually watch this go, and the walls and ceiling just change color. Side note, I didn't actually notice how yellow the ceiling was on the garage before the paint and primer actually started going up, so I'm super happy we ended up actually painting the entire thing. It looks so much better now. I'm not even joking though. This actually took us like 3 to 4 days to paint the entire garage, and I still have more to do. We'll come back to that in a second. So if we actually take a look at the garage walls, you'll see a couple of different phases that are going on. So this is just like the bare drywall. When you buy drywall, this is what it looks like. Then we've got all the plaster that we had to put on ourselves, which was really frustrating. Up above that, you'll notice that there's a little bit of color in there. That's the primer. And then above that, that's 1 coat of paint, and then on the ceiling, that is 2 coats of paint. I really wanted to focus on getting the ceiling done ASAP, because as soon as the electricians show up, they have 3 8-foot lights, plus our heater going up in the corner. The lights that are going up in the garage are actually super cool. They are 8 feet long. We have 3 of them. They are LEDs, and it's essentially gonna make this garage look like a showroom with how bright those lights are, with how white the walls are, and then eventually when we get our floor in, this garage is just gonna go pop. Now I know I'm gonna get some comments about this, so I wanted to address it right away. Why are there like lines in the ceiling and stuff? That's actually the plaster. However, you probably won't see those. The lights that I've got going in are gonna run this way, so long ways, and then on the ceiling, we're also gonna eventually add some soundproofing so it's not so echoey in here. So you'll never actually see the ceiling in that much detail again. And the next day, the electricians showed up to get those massive lights installed on the ceiling. And trust me, these things are so bright. You will see what I mean. So these lights are actually really cool for a couple of different reasons. Number one, they're actually LED lights. So they're actually like these LED light strips, sort of like the same thing you would find on like RGB light strips, only these are about 1,000 times brighter. These are the lights themselves. They are over 8,000 lumens, which is unbelievably bright. And you can't forget about the little heater that we've also got going up on the ceiling as well. Although it may not look that big or huge or super powerful, this heater combined with all of the insulation that we added is gonna make this garage nice and toasty in the winter, so we can actually do things out there. And since the electricians were here, I also asked them to swap out all of the plugs in the garage to these more modern looking ones. I think they look a lot better. Anyways, the other really cool thing about these garage lights is they actually use the same socket as like the little dinky light bulbs did. So it's super easy to install. You don't have to do any fancy wiring. It literally took them 5 minutes to get these up. You will notice I do need to do a little bit of patchwork around the lights themselves. I can do that later though. Tiny little fixer-up jobs. I'll do that probably in the winter. Anyways, eventually night fell and I wanted to test out how bright the lights were themselves. And oh boy, are they bright. You turn them on and it's like it's daylight. It is unbelievable. It was so bright, in fact, I think I blinded my neighbors. Yeah. And just like that, we've got our brand new lights installed, all of our new plugs and everything, as well as the heater is up and running. Now, Eagle Eye viewers might notice that I said 3 8-foot lights, and there are only 2 of them right now. Well, there's a little problem with this one. So these lights are 8 feet long, like I said, and they also screw in to the regular light socket, also, like I said. Now, the problem is for this one, since they're so long, it would actually hit the garage door opener. I don't actually know if I've told you this before, but I've actually ordered a brand new garage door that's gonna look super cool, and it comes with a brand new garage door opener. So this is actually gonna be going bye-bye. That garage door opener is gonna move over to the side of the garage and come sit on the wall now. What that does is essentially makes your ceiling above your garage door 1,000 times cleaner, so that is gonna go away next month, and then we can get that third light installed. Speaking of installations, the week this video comes out, we're actually finally gonna be getting our new garage floor. We've gone with this really cool epoxy garage floor that's gonna make this garage come alive. If you haven't seen epoxy before, it's really, really cool stuff. I'll explain that in episode 4 of the video, where I'll reveal what color we went with. It is gonna look so cool. Right now though, I've gotta do some behind the scenes work. I'm gonna do one more coat of paint on these walls just to make sure they're picture perfect. And then next week, we're gonna start filming episode 4 of the ultimate garage renovation. It should be really, really cool. I am super excited. Subscribe if you want to see that. It should be a super fun one. Seriously, thank you guys for all of the support on these videos. It really means a lot, so thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon with episode 4. See you then. Bye!